Hey guys, welcome back. It's Wednesday, and you're here for another episode of Any Last Words with me, your host, Joe. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend so far. I'm having a pretty good week. I said weekend, didn't I? I meant week, but I hope you have a good weekend too, because that's coming up real soon. So, yeah. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be talking about the curse of the Grateful Dead. There's been I didn't even know this was a thing. I mean, Grateful Dead's cool. I wasn't super into him. Jerry Garcia's pretty cool. What is that ice cream? That Ben and Jerry's ice cream, Cherry Garcia. That's just pretty good. I like cherry ice cream. I'll take it. But yeah, apparently there were a slew of deaths and unfortunate events that either involved the band or deadheads, which are, I guess, what they called the fans, deadheads, which is kind of a cool name, I guess. But yeah. So anyway, make sure you guys follow, subscribe, all the platforms that I'm on. Let me put my banner. I'm sorry, I keep hitting this. Oh my goodness. Can I just get that on there, please? Thank you. There we go. That way people know kind of what we're talking about as they're coming in. So again, make sure you follow, share, subscribe on all social media platforms, which would be Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So far, YouTube has not really punished me for anything other than copyright claims on music, even the music that I own myself. But Facebook's a little iffy sometimes. I think some of us know how that goes. So make sure you guys follow me on all the platforms just in case one decides to kick me out. So you guys will never miss another episode. So yeah, let's get into this shit, okay? Okay, so I guess the Grateful Dead ran from 1965 to 1995. 30-year run, that's not too bad. They were in the height of their fame in the 70s with a lot of psychedelics and the hippie chillins and shit. Hey, Fabrizio, thanks for joining. No, you're not late. You're not late at all. You're not late at all. Trust me. I ramble a lot, so you've got time to come and sit and settle. But yeah, so the Grateful Dead 30-year run, height in the 70s during, the psychedelic period, and all kinds of shit happened. There's several keyboardists who died of, unfortunate events, whether it was kind of by their own doing or not by their own doing. I'll just put it that way. And shit, I want to say almost a dozen different fans died in really random, unfortunate ways. So let's get into that. I try to put them in chronological order, but I'm going to start with the band members. And oddly enough, it was always the keyboardists that ended up dead. Crazy, right? Okay, so their founding keyboardist, Ron Pigpen McKirkin. I'm going to say a lot of names wrong. I know I am. Hey, Trina, thanks for joining, darling. Mayhem is also a cursed band. I think isn't Mayhem one of those those Norwegian black metal bands? I think I might have talked about this on Girls Gore and Gin, or my co-host did. One of us did, but it kind of sounds familiar. I think I know what you're talking about. Anywho's yours. Yeah, so Ron Pigpen McKirkin, in 1973, when he was only 27 years old. I got to see if he's part of the 27 Club, because that would be kind of fitting, I suppose. He was actually found dead from gastrointestinal hemorrhage because he got really he was doing drugs in the beginning, and then he kind of stopped doing the psychedelics and just started drinking for anxiety, and it just progressed into alcoholism, and he got sick, and he left for a while, and then he came back, and then he left, and then so basically he drank himself to death, which is unfortunate. I'm sure that wasn't the point he was trying to get to. He was just trying to feel better, and it just turned into just an illness, and then so that's really sad. It's really sad. Let's see. Fabrizio, yes, I think it was the vocalist killed a member of the band. I know what band you're talking about. Mayhem. That's the one where the singer was kind of crazy and nuts. Oh no, or maybe it was a member, but basically kept bones and stuff from the other member, and I think he made a necklace and did weird shit. I know what band you're talking about. Yeah, crazy fucking black metal I think it was Norwegian. crazy ass bands. Those bands, there's something else. Anyway, so yeah, basically drank himself to death. And then in the 80s, because I'm doing these in order as well, in the 80s, Keith Gottschalk, I think I said that right too. He was when Ron left the band and then came back, and it was him and Keith together for a little while. And then Ron left again, and then that's when he died. So Keith kind of stayed in the band. And then in the 80s, he was doing drugs and stuff. He left the band. And then about a year later, he got into a really bad car accident and died. So that's kind of crazy. And then the third one would be Brent Myland. In the 90s, he had an accidental overdose at the age of 37. He had a mix of heroin and coke, and it was an accident, I suppose. But, don't do drugs, kids. Message of the day. Literally. And then there was Vince Welnick in 2006. This is well after the band was done. I don't remember what year Jerry Garcia passed, but it was after that. In 2006, when he was 51 years old, they found him dead of an apparent suicide. Which that's also unfortunate as well. But it's kind of weird that it was all the keyboardists that happened to. So that's one of the two curses. I just call it all a general overall curse of just unfortunate events. So yeah, there's the keyboard curse, and then there's just the Grateful Dead curse, which this one is one that happened to fans of the band. I'll wait till that part because it kind of goes in the middle. Anyway, let me get to the first one. The first one was in 1973. A teen couple, Michael Fred Windsor and his girlfriend Benita Vicknick, they hitchhiked 75 miles from Brooklyn, New York, to a festival in New York. And it was one of the largest events that has ever been put on. The event held over 800,000 people, but they didn't quite make it to the event. On their hitchhiking journey, they were picked up by a man in a truck, and he dropped them off, and no one ever saw or heard from them ever again. So this truck driver, this guy in a pickup truck, was probably the last person to ever see them. Whether he really did drop them off or maybe he dropped them off, I don't know. I'd actually like to dig into that a little bit more and try to find out what happened with that. If there is anything else with that, I have no clue. Hey, Natalie, Black Magic. Yes, the Grateful Dead. We're talking about Grateful Dead. Hey, John, thanks for joining. Yeah, so continuing on. Which one was number 2? I wrote these out of order and then I numbered them so I wouldn't have to rewrite this shit over again because I ain't got time for that. Let's see. The second one was in 1986. Another couple, Mary Gioia. Gioia. I don't know how to pronounce that. And Gregory Kniffen. God, why do all these people have weird fucking names? Anyway, they were both, it was actually a double murder. And they were both staying in a Berkeley, California homeless encampment that was called the Rainbow Village. And they were both beaten and shot to death and were found there. Supposedly by an African-American man named Ralph Thomas. A lot of the fans did not believe that he did it. There were a lot of people who didn't believe that he did it. But they ended up giving him life in prison, unfortunately. And his lawyers were fighting for appeals. But by, 30 years passed through his life sentence when he got an appeal to go in front of the judge. They pretty much denied it. He was really ill anyway with diabetes, and he ended up passing away in 2014. So that's kind of sad because a lot of people went to jail for things that they didn't do. You know, obviously it's a lot of African Americans, but they're, you know, they're whites, Hispanics, Asians. A lot of people go to prison for shit they never even did. But because technology is getting so advanced and so intricate, they've been able to find all kinds of people and clear their names. So hopefully we can get some of these guys released a little quicker, because they just released like 2 guys like last week that have been sitting in prison for 20, 30 years for a robbery. They both got life for a robbery. It was a black guy and a white guy, both in prison for life for robbery. Technology helped get them the fuck out. So the court system wasted and robbed them of 30 years. Innocent men, 30 years of their life. How shitty is that? So it's unfortunate that this guy never really got what I feel would be, you know, justice for him to figure it out whether or not it actually really happened. Because I think it was one of those situations they're just kind of like, it's just easy to pin it on him because he's black and he's got a record. So let's lock him up and just call it case closed. Fucked up shit, right? Okay, let's see. We got some comments here. Hey, Richard, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for joining. Fabrizio, how is the weather in California? Here in Monterey too, and hot. A few days ago it was right. Oh, Fabrizio, you're in Monterey? That's cool. Right now it's actually, I can hear it off and on. We have like a windstorm today. Last week it was 106 almost consistently all week. This week it's like 70s and it's really cloudy and it's real dusty and windy outside. It's just Bakersfield. That's just how it is. We live in partial desert, so it's just fucking sucks here. But I'm glad that you're in a place that's really nice. So, is Mexico? No. Oh, you're in Monterey, Mexico. Oh, okay, okay. Well, still, it sounds like you have better weather than we do right now. Yeah, now they're catching real people with all this technology. I love it because they've caught the Golden State Killer, Samuel Little, which is one of the most prolific serial killers ever. He's killed more people than anybody else has. I think that he's killed more people than Gacy and Bundy combined, or Gacy and Dahmer combined. He's killed almost 100 women. He fascinates me. He's not my favorite. I don't like saying favorite serial killer because I don't like to glorify these people. I'm just fascinated and intrigued by them because, especially Samuel Little. I know we're kind of going sidebar real quick, but it's all whatever. This guy, Samuel Little, he killed over 90 women in multiple states. And to this day, not to this day, because he passed earlier this year, I believe. He can remember exactly what the women looked like, where he picked them up, and where he dropped them off, what they were wearing, all kinds of stuff. And he would be able to draw it out like from memory. Like, he wasn't like a great artist, but like he was pretty freaking accurate in what these Jane Does look like. And they solved a lot of cases after he was incarcerated. So, and they did all of that through the new technology and the codex, you know, the 23andMe type shit. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to it. Let's see. Yeah, justice sucks here. Let's see. You think the history of rock and metal in general is very stained, curiously, by European or Nordic bands, few from the US, and the Satanic Panic lift did not help. Okay. You're in Oklahoma. It's humid there. Ugh. You know, I like Oklahoma. I've been to Oklahoma before. I went to Oklahoma last year, and I thought it was really, really nice there. I thought the people were really nice. Yeah. So, Natalie says 86 in Wisconsin. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So, hey, Dustin, what a curse. It's a curse, all right. Trina watches a lot of true crime. I love true crime. I can talk about it all day. Richard says, do you ever think they'll catch the Zodiac killer, the killer in the Black Dahlia murder, and will they find Waldo or Carmen Sandiego? Well, as far as Carmen goes, I would check Sandiego first, because that, to me, that's just a clue. The Zodiac, I have no clue if they'll ever catch the Zodiac. The killer for the Black Dahlia, they have a higher suspect now at this point. They actually think it was a doctor or a surgeon or something like that, she had been seeing off and on. And yeah, hopefully they come out with more of that soon. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime. We'll see. Let's get back to the Grateful Dead before I forget where I'm at. So anyway, yeah. So this couple, They were murdered in a homeless camp in Berkeley. Man was arrested. To me, it seemed like it was kind of an easy arrest. Let's just pin it on this guy for this and that reason. Never got his justice, I feel. Then okay, that was 86. Let me go back to number 3 now. Okay, so we're going to jump on up to 1990. And Douglas Simmons of Florida, he attended a show in North Carolina with a friend, with friends. And during the event, he said that he needed to go back to his car for some reason. On his way back to the car, never came back, was never seen or heard from again, has vanished. He's gone. So that's kind of weird. There's no, I mean, I don't know. I guess at big events, it would be kind of hard to maybe find evidence because you've got thousands of people running in and out all over the place. It could, obviously it would highly contaminate the scene. So I can see why they possibly could not find anything to locate what happened, to this guy. Cheryl. Okay, let's see. That was him. Number 4. Oh, yeah. So in 1991, there was a woman that was found murdered in New Jersey. And she had on her leg the same tiger tattoo that Jerry Garcia had on his guitar. And I think they said that she was there was some kind of evidence that she had recently been at an event or a concert that they had. So that sucks. I don't know. I know a lot of people were there was a lot of shitty people that were not Grateful Dead fans that would go there and just act a fool and act a mess. That's one of the reasons why they kind of ended up stopping, from what I read. But we'll move on. Let's see. And then in 1992, the next year, 23-year-old Bridget Lee Pendle Williamson, she's got a really long fucking name. She had a normal life. She's just a normal person, went to work, went to school, had a small apartment, this and that. And one day she just decided to drop everything and was like, I'm going to go follow the Grateful Dead around on tour. Fuck it. Why not? That's more exciting than the life I got right now. Why not? So, during her adventure, I call it adventure time, she started doing a lot of psychedelics, to the point where she became highly addicted to these psychedelics. She ended up in San Francisco, California, where the last anybody ever seen, heard, or was able to note of her is that she was basically a drugged out prostitute and then just vanished, came up missing one day. That was it. So obviously she didn't finish that tour. Yeah. Okay. And then in 1995, an unidentified man was discovered in Atlanta wearing the Grateful Dead. I think he was wearing a t-shirt. No, not the jacket. He was wearing a t-shirt. And he was found along the side of a highway. It was believed that he had been to a show in that Atlanta area recently. So they don't know if something happened to him at the show or right after the show, but some evidence they have that he was at that show and then just ended up dead on the side of the freeway in Atlanta, wearing their merch. So that sucks too. Man, there's a lot of people died at this shit. I don't think I've ever heard of any other band that's had not just members, but fans be injured or hurt or murdered or come up missing or something. I mean, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese. Okay, number 7. Deadhead number 7. Yeah, because I numbered these too. There was a lot of them. In 2008, a fisherman found the body of a woman in Sacramento, California, and she was wearing a Grateful Dead jacket. Now, I don't think the Grateful Dead wasn't touring at all at that point, but she was obviously a heavy Grateful Dead fan, and she was murdered and found. Well, no, I can't say she was murdered because they don't really know exactly how she died. They just found her in water, and she was wearing the jacket. So I guess they linked that somehow. We'll take it, I guess. Let's see. And then I think this is the last one. No, it's not the last one. Okay, so let's go back to 1995 a little bit. 1995. Because that's when the band was kind of done. They went from 65 to 95. That's long stretch. In 95, MTV actually purported that Jerry Garcia started getting death threats, especially after an event. It was like this big event that had happened. Not the show event was big, but the catastrophe and the injuries that had happened there, really bad. So in 1995, there was a show in Missouri, and there was an electrical storm that was happening. 2 people in the audience were struck by lightning, and they ended up having to go to the hospital, and they later died at the hospital from heart failure. 200 people at the event went to take shelter under a pavilion tower, which then collapsed. I'm sorry, I don't think it was 200 that went under the tower. There was a bunch of people went under the pavilion tower. It collapsed and fell on 200 show attendees. And in that 200, 16 fans were hospitalized, 9 were in serious condition, and 5 were in critical condition. And amongst the injuries from these people, there were head, neck, back injuries, as well as pelvic fractures. So that's a lot of people that got hurt. A lot of people that got hurt, and 2 people died. Like, that's crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah, and then earlier that day, they had found at the campsite or campgrounds that it was being held at, they found 2 fans that had actually overdosed on drugs there as well. So, 4 people died at least, and, well over, let's see here, well over 30 people were critically, hurt, injured, whatever you want to call it. But let's see, Dustin. Hey, Dustin. That was the year he died. I'm not sure if that was the year that he died. I know that's like when they stopped. They stopped doing tours because it was in July of 1995 when this happened, and then they stopped like right after that. They were pretty much done. MTV reported all of this, as well as Jerry Garcia receiving death threats from people. What it said in the death threats, I honestly don't know. They ended up putting out a statement saying that, there's a lot of people who come to these shows who don't have tickets, or they couldn't get tickets and they wanted to just show up to try to get tickets. And they were gate crashers. They show up for the vendors, which they honestly started saying, like, we don't want vendors at the event anymore because the vendors sit outside, which draws people who are not for the show to their tables to buy shit. And then they act a fool. That this isn't a drunken party. This is just to be together and be at a higher consciousness, not being drunken idiots causing a fucking scene everywhere. That's not what they wanted. That's not what they were about. But that's what ended up happening. So, yeah, let's see. What else did I get? Yeah, that's really pretty much all I wrote on that. But yeah, fucking crazy. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is like a curse? Or do you guys think that this is just a series of unfortunate events, not just with, the 4 pianists that died from the band, but also, the fans and followers as well of the Grateful Dead? It's kind of crazy how all that happened. Like I said, I don't think I know of any other band where this much tragedy is circled around it. We're not going to go into the Norwegian guys. They bring that shit on themselves. I'm going to put that right there. They bring that shit on themselves. They're fucking crazy. They are crazy. So, let's see. Trina says she thinks so. Sounds like a curse to you. Let's see. Jerry created the wall of sound. That's why the CIA was on to him. He was leading a revolution. He died of a withdrawal from heroin and a rehab going bankrupt. Let's see, I don't really know the history, but I'm interested. So am I. I am too. See, Natalie, or it hasn't been researched with other bands. That's very true. But just me, myself, I've never heard of any other band that's had so much of this going on around them. Like I said, whether it's the band or the fans. And again, let's not count the Norwegian guys, because that Norwegian, I can't even say it, Norwegian death metal. That shit's gnarly. Those guys are fucking gnarly. I swear to God. But yeah, I don't know. I think some of this might be coincidental. And then I think some of this, maybe it is a curse. I don't know. Because it's just, like, come on. You're gonna have every keyboard player die, basically. I mean, there were a couple of other ones in there that didn't die. There was one, I forget his name. He left because he felt like he really didn't have anything better to contribute to the band. So rather than stay and not be happy, he just kind of left and went on his way. Let's see. Natalie says, I believe something's going on, honestly, though. And very, very well could be. Very well could. Maybe maybe like a witch had like a psychedelic trip and she put a curse on the band or something. I don't know. Maybe. Their name is like Prophecy. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. That was a little deep, girl. But yeah, it's like, what do you guys think? Like, I don't know. I think maybe it might be a little mix of both, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards just a series of unfortunate events, honestly, because drugs were everywhere, whether they wanted to push the drugs or not. I mean, that was the 70s. They started in 65. So that was like, that's when the psychedelics like really started with the flower child and the flower power shit, and up in the Bay Area and San Francisco, all that other shit. Charlie Manson. Woo! Everybody was on fucking drugs. Everybody was experimenting at that time. Everybody was doing something. Not everybody. People for the most part. But thank you, Destin. I appreciate it. I saw it today on a thing and I was like, hey, let me dig into this a little bit and do something with it, because I thought it was pretty cool. I'm not like a huge Grateful Dead fan. They're cool. I like the little bears, but I wasn't like a fanatic or anything like that, so I can appreciate them. The Warlocks. With drugs, everything is subjective. Yeah, especially in your mind. Media though exploits that. I don't know. People killed on. Yeah. A lot of people died on acid. Lots of drug overdoses in that time. That was back when drugs were good, not like the stuff out there today. Yeah, that shit out there today. Oh my god, do you guys remember the what's that guy's name? The Miami Zombie, when the bath salts were going, the synthetic drugs were going around. I mean, come on, if you're gonna fucking do drugs, do fucking drugs. Don't fuck around with that fake shit. Come on, be an adult. But that guy, like, supposedly, because I have some little theories about that myself, because I'm weird. I wear a little bit of tinfoil in my hair every day. But yeah, like that synthetic drugs, freaked out, ate a homeless man's face, and like raged out on the cops, and they killed him. And yeah, I want to say it might have been the bath salts, but I think maybe the government might have been experimenting on some things. I don't know. I'm just saying, that's just me. But let's see. Could I find one on Sepultura? That looks a little familiar. Is that another one of those Norwegian bands? Because there's another show I do called Girls More Gin, where my co-host and we do a lot of stuff, and we actually did a topic on the Norwegian death metal bands, and we each like picked a couple, and we like talked about like the most wildest, craziest, off the wall shit that they did, like things you wouldn't even think people would do. It's like, no, thank you. I don't want to live there. So wherever they're living, I don't want to be at. I'm not a big fan of the Grateful Dead. I respect them for the legends they are. They can jam, but I'm not really deep into it. I totally 100% agree with that right there. I'm the same way. That's the best way you can articulate that for me. Thank you. PCP, might have been. You're in any last words head, if that's a thing. It's only a thing if you guys make that a thing. So you honestly think people are just fucked up, and people are going to continuously do fucked up things, shit, whether it's drug related or not. That's, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But I think sometimes drugs can kind of cause people to do a little bit more than they would expect to do, or ever think that they could do, or just enhance what they already do. Fabrizio says, this is already satanic panic, like Dungeons and Dragons. They said it was satanic just because some boys committed suicide, and when they discovered them, they were playing it as a game. And I think that Black Sabbath, even someone committed suicide, And when they found him, they listened to his music and made it said satanic. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, there was a lot of bands at the time where they were labeled as satanic. Even Marilyn Manson was considered satanic for the longest time, especially after like the Columbine happened, because the boys were sorry, I got something here. Even the boys at Columbine, they were fans of Marilyn Manson. So after that, I mean, Marilyn Manson's a piece of shit. I like his music still, but he's a piece of shit. And they instantly were like, oh, well, this is Marilyn Manson's fault. You know, he's a Satanist. He's evil. He talks about death and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, that's, I mean, yeah, it's a piece of shit, but that's not what he was trying to tell everybody else to do, was do these things. He was making artistic music and expressing himself in that way, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, the Doors, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix, also part of the 27 Club. Both of them, actually. Yeah, Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix. So, subjective, yes. Let's see, Trina says, people on PCP scare me. The apartments I live in, they do that shit here. Crazy people everywhere. Yeah, drugs have gotten really, really bad here in the U.S. And speaking of, my dad told me something just recently, and I was really surprised because I don't watch a lot of, I guess, mainstream media. I don't really watch it a lot. I kind of go my own way and watch alternative TV, or I'll watch YouTube a lot, or I just read. I like to read. But apparently Tom Arnold, who used to be married to Roseanne Barr, his sister is like the self-proclaimed heroin queen of the United States. And she brags that like she got everybody in the US hooked on heroin, that she brought it here and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? You're a piece of shit. Because so many lives are ruined because of this. I mean, whether or not she really is the person who did it or not, I don't know. I just think Tom Arnold is just probably like trying to find something to grab another fucking 15 minutes or 15 seconds, whatever the fuck he can get, because he's a fucking loser too. Anyway, let's see. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for joining. What is this one? The documental where he appears and talks about the theme is great. Oh, sorry, I got a lot more comments. My finger keeps getting in the way. I'm gonna start drawing like a little face on the finger, so you guys see like a little face coming up here, like, hey guys, how's it going? Jazz finger. Anyway, Nelly says, this is the stuff. Is any of this stuff happening with current artists, not just metal bands from the 70s to 80s and 90s? I don't know. It's honestly something I wouldn't mind looking up. Just because of this one alone, honestly, I really didn't think of it past the Norwegian black death metal stuff, because I'm thinking of that over there. I'm not thinking of it locally, in a way. But yeah, no, I wouldn't even mind like going and finding more of these. Or if you guys know any of them, send them my way, and I'd be happy to do all the research and information on it, and put a story together on it. Let's see. Sorry, my nose itches a little bit. Tom Arnold tried to be Ricky off Trailer Park Boys. No, don't talk shit about Ricky or Bubbles. Fabrizio, that was El Chapo and Escobar job. That's what I thought too. I thought they were the fuckers that did it. They brought in like the cocaine hippos and the blood tigers or whatever. Hey Phil, thanks for joining. AC/DC, the Antichrist Devil's Child. That's what I thought when I was younger, but now I know. See. Dominique, what about what's going on now? Anything? I don't know. We gotta look it up. Richard says 27 Club could be an interesting topic sometime. I agree. Because there was that's a lot of weirdness too, and it was a lot of musical artists. I mean, James Dean was an actor and model, but a lot of it was musical artists, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, I just said his name earlier, Jim Morrison. There was a lot of them. There was 27 gone. It's crazy. Fabrizio Escobar came to own, I believe, that 30% of the dollars in the world. He might have owned 30% of our money. I would not put that past him. This is interesting. Current stuff would definitely hit home more. Yeah, for sure. Just all cover-ups. Oh, okay. Maybe we gotta dig into this a little bit more. Thank you, Destin. Janis Joplin was another one of those as well. Which all, very, very talented, unique artists. And it's a shame. They all like really, for some reason or another, just got into the shit they got into. And so I know there's a podcast I actually listen to called The Dark Side of. And it's such a cool podcast because they pick topics and they'll run a series on each topic. They'll do like 7, 9, or 10 episodes on that topic. And the first one is all about Hollywood and the origins of Hollywood, which is one I would love to do. I'm getting ready to go to LA here in a little while. So I want to go down to the Hollywood side and then talk about the origins of Hollywood, because it's a trip to learn about it. It didn't even really start in Hollywood. It started, I believe, in New Jersey. And then people came out here. I'll get into that another time. But they do later on, they get into another series where it's music. It's all musical artists. And they get into Selena's story. They get into the 27 Club. And all that other stuff. So, I mean, not sponsored or anything like that. These guys don't even know who the fuck I am. But it's a great podcast. And I do recommend it to anybody else who likes podcasts, especially of true crime and history. And they cover everything. They cover, NASA and UFOs and online dating and, the origins of online dating, and then like stories that had happened with it. They just were very, very much an impact on history as far as those topics go. So yeah, check it out. It's called The Dark Side of. Marilyn Monroe. Yep, she died too. See, now it says, because everything before the 2000s seems tragic. And like you don't hear anything too tragic music-wise now besides the free Britney bullshit. Yeah. No, I agree. There are a lot of 90s artists that were great too that died. Oh, actually, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. I fucking love Stone Temple Pilots. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. I thought Scott Weiland was an amazing artist. Even in the other bands that he spun off and did with, but he died like 6 years ago, I think. Like 6 years ago, he got caught up in drugs too and died. He wasn't 27, but he had like a really messed up life. There was a lot of stuff going on, and got into drugs and stayed in drugs and was in and out of rehab and continued to make amazing fucking music. And then it all eventually one day caught up with them, and that was it. Tragic. Let's see. I'm trying to get my finger out of the way of the fucking lens. Let's see. They were leading a revolution. The government doesn't take it kindly to musicians that don't bow down. They don't take kindly to anybody who don't bow down. I mean, come on now. We've got fucking vaccine lotto right now. Let's see. Oh, you guys are giving me a lot of comments. I love this. But it's all jumping away from me. Let's see. Musicians are supposed to have the shortest life expectancy, but due to addictions and their history that surrounds them. Yeah, it is. I think a lot of artists, like a lot of podcasts I listen to and like research that I've done on a lot of artists, a lot of them started out with like some kind of a mental illness, and then they use like drugs or alcohol to soothe or comfort, whether they had anxiety or depression or they were bipolar or, whatever was happening. They kind of use those things to self-medicate themselves, and it just spun into an addiction. But a lot of them were super fucking creative and talented, and that's what made them stand out. And it gets to you and you start doing shit. Best cover up is death by drug related occurrences. That is a good point. That has happened, and that is a great point. Thank you for that. Yep, I'm so glad that I got to see Stone Temple Pilots. They're fucking awesome. Scott Weiland was fucking amazing. And then Velvet Revolver, where it had like Slash and everybody from different bands. Yes. Fuck. Anyway, Lane Stanley from Alice in Chains was another one, a part of it. Yes, I loved Alice in Chains. I liked grunge music. Well, I like all kinds of music. But for some reason, I really have a big place in my heart for grunge music, like, Nirvana, Audioslave, Soundgarden, well, same thing, whatever. Pearl Jam, which I wasn't a huge fan of Pearl Jam, but I do like Eddie Vedder. He's got a really cool voice. Everybody's music at that time too was so thoughtful. you know, in a way. Like there was a message in their music, not like now where it's just like, you know, I'm gonna tap that, you know, what a, you know, cooking up crack in the kitchen or whatever the fuck they're talking about. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to know. So it doesn't make sense. It's all garbage now. Now I feel like an old person for saying that. Anyway, artists equal free drugs or money for them. Yeah, because it was easily accessible to them. You know, you had to keep your moneymaker happy. And if that meant giving them drugs and alcohol, why not? Also, an easier way to control people, too, is if you've got drugs and alcohol, you can enable the shit out of an addict to get them to do what you want. So Lane from Alice in Chains was another great music. Lost to Drugs. And I love Sublime, too. Yeah, Bradley, that was sad, too. Bradley was amazing. Rome, when they added Rome, I mean, Rome's got a great voice, too. He's an amazing artist as well, but it's just not the same as Bradley. It's just not. And I've had fucking that song Garden Grove stuck in my head for like 4 fucking weeks already. I sing it to my dog every day. So fuck around with my dog. That's what I tell her. Don't fuck around with my dog. Okay, you're glad you got to see Stone Temple Pilots and Velvet Revolver when you had the chance. Yeah, like I never got to see any of them. But I'm glad that you guys got to see them. I'm glad we got to appreciate those kind of artists together. But yeah, guys, I'm running a little late tonight, but that's okay because I've enjoyed this conversation that we're having tonight on musical artists and conspiracy and tragedy and drugs and murder. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get up out of here. I got to go to bed early in the morning. Let me set myself up before I set myself down. So, all right, you guys, make sure you like this video and share it if you don't mind from whichever platform that you're currently on. And make sure you're following me on my different platforms because Facebook likes to fuck with me a lot. So I like everybody to make sure that they go to my YouTube channel as well and hit that subscribe button. You don't have to hit the notification bell if you don't want to. You're a grown person. You live your life how you want to. And if you're interested in becoming one of my Patreon supporters, like the other ones that I have, their link is in the description as well, along with the links to my other social media platforms. Yeah, Patreon, there's all kinds of stuff on Patreon that either gets released way early before it goes out to everybody else, or it's secret stuff that never gets, you know, set out to anybody else. So if you're interested in that stuff, check it out below. And until then, I will see you guys Friday for another Getting My Grub On episode. I need some more food. I lost some weight this week, so I'm excited for Friday. So gonna do some funnel cakes. If you guys have any suggestions for any kind of other fair food, I guess we'll do fair food. Fuck it. We'll just do fair food. If you guys have any suggestions, hit me up. Send me in the DM or put a comment in the group or the page. So either way, I'll find it and I'll see what I can do. I will probably eat it no matter what it is. But be nice. All right, creeps. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I will see you Friday, and I hope you have nightmares about me. Mwah!